This is the song. In grade 4, I wrote a story called A Beaver Who Lost His Teeth, about a beaver who lost his teeth so he couldn't cut down trees. Then one day in the woods, he was shot at by a hunter. In surprise, the beaver jumped up and hit the tree with his tail, and the tree fell on the hunter. So the beaver saw that he could cut down trees with his tail, so the problem was resolved. This isn't realistic. In real life, some obstacles prove taxing, and if you're a beaver without teeth, you're probably screwed. You certainly couldn't cut down trees by chopping at them with your tail. It's a tail, not a chainsaw. Did I write this story on drugs? No, I was 9, but kids have a lot in common with people on drugs. Like how they laugh and stare off into space. You're like, kid, are you stoned? Why are you so happy? Are you giggling at the dumpster or awing at the floor? Kid, are you there? A beaver without teeth is gonna die, gonna die, gonna die. We're all gonna die. It's my happy song. In adolescence, Bertrand Russell would go off to a hillside, watch the sunset, and then think about committing suicide, but he didn't kill himself. And the reason that he gave was, and I quote, I wish to learn more mathematics, which is lame, because there's more to life than mathematics, like sex and drugs and rock and roll, or just hanging out with your mom. But Bertrand Russell turned out to be someone Nelson Mandela admired and looked up to. Man, how great must you be for a man like Mandela to think that you were greater. If he thought the same of me, I would brag to every girl. So hey, teenager, don't get too excited by your acne or your voice change or the cruelty of your peers. As you deal with enough hormones to take down a small animal, sit back, relax, think of math. We'll see you on the other side. Yeah, you all have teenagers at home, don't you? Yeah. When my grandfather died, his funeral was at a church, and the thing about a church is no one goes there anymore. And if nobody goes, how will we socialize with elders? 'Cause there are so few forums for the young and old alike. And if the young and the old aren't in communication, who will talk about the future with a reference to the past? And who will talk about the past with a view towards the future? And if I did not know my grandfather, what will I live without? I can best recall one thing. It was the sound he made when we played chess. He'd stare hard at the board, and whenever someone moved, he'd say, It was the sound of paying attention, and attention stems from love. So hey, grandfather, though we have no similarities, I've been passed on through the body, it's been passed on through you. Hey, grandfather, the earth is rushing back for me, and I don't believe in deities, but I wish I could see you on the other side. Thank you. My parents live here, and I was staying with them on Monday night, and I'm reading a book right now called American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Has anybody read that book? Cool. I mean, I never really read science fiction. I'm not used to, like, fantasy stories with ghosts and stuff, and there's ghosts in this. Like, this guy's got this wife who's dead, and now she's dead, and she's following him around, and he's like, I don't know what to do about my dead wife following me around. And so he asks the character in the novel, like, what he should do about this, and this is one of the last things I read before I went to sleep, and then the guy says to him, if the dead come, you have to ask them what they want. I was like, cool, all right. And then I closed the book, and I went to sleep. My parents live in, like, a character house. It's really old, and I don't live in a character house. I live in an apartment. And so I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and the house is going, and then all I could think of was, if the dead come, you have to ask them what they want. And then I was like, oh, I'm not scared of ghosts. It's cool, like, whatever. But I definitely don't want to get out from underneath the covers, because it's cool here. Like, I'm safe. It's fine. And then this voice in my head is like, you have to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, no, I don't. And then it's like, yes, you do. You definitely have to go. And I'm like, oh, I have to go. So I am a 32-year-old grown man. My parents have a very long hallway to the bathroom. I sprinted to the bathroom. I peed like all over the floor, no idea, like was going, sprinted back. I literally dove into my bed, like, whoa, and then put the covers over my head, like, yes. And you know how you're doing something ridiculous, you have a very lucid moment? And it hit me, I was like, why would the ghost care if you get under the covers? Like, it doesn't make a difference. They're not gonna be like, ooh, aw. I can go through walls, but just the blanket can't, yeah. You know? Black people are patient and wise. They have a superpower, vaguely defined, or a brief spiritual wisdom. From being close to the earth, they're selfless and enlightened from the moment of their birth. Not that we know, because they don't have a life story. They appear out of nowhere without a lover, pet, or family. They don't sleep, they don't eat, they don't have sex. They're too busy helping the white protagonist. Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost plays a Swami, and out of every dead person has to talk to Patrick Swayze. The character Lamont in American History X, 6 up in prison for a white supremacist in Legend of Bagger Vance. Will Smith plays a god who teaches Matt Damon how to golf. Cause every black person has a superpower. Every gay person is the gay best friend. All of the girls don't talk to each other, and if they do, they have to talk about men. Gay people are gay. Really, really, really effeminate and gay. They don't say, hey, how's it going? They say, how's it going? They all sing and have small dogs and like to garden, but underneath the flamboyance is a murderous intention. Gay people like to kill by themselves or leading armies, like Prince Edward in Braveheart, or in 300 Xerxes, or the guy in Silence of the Lambs who kidnaps women, puts them in a well, and makes them beg. But you really know he's screwed up when he puts his genitals between his legs and he dances. Gay psychopaths are always dancing. Cause every gay person is a psycho killer. Every black person is the black best friend. All of the girls don't talk to each other, and if they do, they have to talk about men. The Bechdel test is a quiz for the female presence in film. And to pass the test, you only have to answer 3 questions. Is there more than one girl? Do they talk to each other? Do they talk about more than men? And if they do, then you've passed the test. Congratulations. This year's Oscar nominees for Best Picture, only 2 out of 9 passed. But it doesn't really matter. There's so many other roles for a female to act. Like the perfect mom, the nagging mom, the crazy career woman, the teenage mom, the sweet nerd, the adorable moron, the murdered wife, the trophy wife, the one that got away, the perfect wife, that crazy ex, that bitchy fiancé, the evil queen, the underling, the rape avenger, the matriarch and the mean girl, and the Oedipal mother, the gossip, the rich girl, the clinger and the klutz, the one who be pregnant time mom hits on everything that walks. Have sex with me now, have sex with me now, have sex with me now. Every black person has a superpower. Every gay person is the gay best friend. All of the girls don't talk to each other, and if they do, they have to talk about men. I once got a call from a casting agent who said my face was incredibly generic. You could be a pizza delivery boy, she explained, or a young proud father, or a tax attorney, or a guy at a football game. She promised me lots of work. She promised me lots of money. I couldn't think of a reason to turn her down, really. I thought of the 2 young white men I'd seen the other day, bound across the street in sweatpants and jump into a Mustang. They peeled off down the street. Their stereo was alive. In the horizon before them, the sun was setting in the sky. Yeah, why would you give up your sunny days? Yeah, why would you give up those sunny days when you know you're gonna live happily ever after? Thanks. It's true about the generic face thing. I actually got a call from a casting agent who was like, I didn't know what it was until I got there, and I was like, I must be incredibly talented and good looking. And she was like, nope, you have a face that looks like anyone. She's like, do you never have that thing where people are like, I know you from somewhere? I'm like, no. She's like, exactly. See? Boom. And I was like, I don't really act. She's like, it doesn't matter. You just need to look into the camera. People see themselves. I'm like, okay. So I went to one audition. I'm the worst actor in the world. It was for a non-smoking commercial. So I had to walk across, like, carrying this thing. It was like supposed to be a cigarette stick, and I was supposed to take 3 jumps and then break it over my leg and be like, yeah, I'm done with smoking. Screw smoking. Except for I was like, I got there. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. There's a waiting room full of people who actually did look very much like me. I was like, wow. This is like the whitest generic room I've ever seen. It's just like, but they wanted some like 2-day facial hair, and some people had too much facial hair, some people didn't have enough, and I was like, I got it nailed on the facial hair. I'm gonna kill this audition. And so I just did it. I walked through my paces, and then I slammed the thing down. I was like, boom, see ya, thanks, I'm done. And they're like, no, can you do a little more expression? And I was like, oh, I thought it was just about my face. And so I was like, okay, but I don't know how to act. So I just did this like thing where I was like, I took the cigarette and I like jumped, and I jumped, and I jumped, and I smashed it over my leg, and I was like, yes, I'm done. And then the woman who I imagine casts 70 people every day, like she just motors through them, she actually just laughed in my face, like burst out laughing. And she says, yeah, for sure, we'll let you know, and just pointed to the door. Here's a quick historical piece to end, thanks. In the 1950s, all of Canada's civil service was male. Homosexuals existed, but because the normative view of what a man should be or do, they had to be quiet about it. Because they had to be quiet about it, the government considered them a security threat, because Cold War communists could hypothetically find out about them and threaten to out them unless they released secret documents. I don't know if Canada had secret documents, like how to win at curling, shh. But to avoid them leaking, the RCMP formed Special Section A3 subbranch, the RCMP Security Panel, with the goal of finding and firing every homosexual in the RCMP military and civil service. Which is impossible, right? Because the civil service is divided into multiple dozens of different departments, commissions, councils, corporations, containing countless directorates, overseen by assistant deputy ministers, overseen by deputy ministers, overseen by ministers, overseen by the prime minister. All in all, year dependent between 500,000 to 250,000. That's roughly 5 to 12 hockey arenas full of people who aren't actually in hockey arenas, but spread across 8,000 kilometers of mostly barren land. Saskatchewan, wow, a grain elevator. Whom you have to study so closely as to discover whether they're having illegal sex. You cannot just ask them this, like, are you having illegal sex? Nope. Are you sure? Yep. Are you gay? Nope. Are you straight? Oh, yeah. How straight? What? Just a bit straight? What? Just a bit gay? No. Are you sure you're not gay? Yeah. Are you sure you're not gay? Yeah. Are you not sure you're not gay? No, so you're not sure. I'm not sure. That what? That I'm gay. You're gay. Special Section A3 subbranch of the RCMP Security Panel had to find these gay people. They started small, following known homosexuals around the city of Ottawa. If the Ottawanian homosexual went to a grocery store or a cafe or a bakery, he was labeled with a little red dot as a homosexual grocery, cafe, or bakery. And any civil servant spotted in this grocery, cafe, or bakery was investigated. Soon there was red dots in every grocery, cafe, and bakery in the entire city of Ottawa. It seemed there was nowhere gay people didn't go. There was gay coffee and gay groceries and gay baked goods everywhere. The RCMP was putting red dots on top of red dots on top of red dots till they realized they'd have to get smaller red dots or a bigger map. So they went out and they bought the biggest map of Ottawa ever printed in the English language, and they started again, homosexual after homosexual after homosexual, on and on, until this map too was completely red, and they had to send a specially trained Mountie over to the Department of National Defense with a request for the Air Force to fly over the city with a high-resolution camera so they could take a picture and blow that up and make an even bigger map. And the Department of National Defense is like, that's dumb. So the project died, but not the result of Special Section A3 subbranch of the RCMP Security Panel, which next set about building the secret machine which could scientifically detect for homosexuality. The greatest scientists in Canada worked on it. After years and years of struggle and government funding, they unveiled this dentist chair. And the name of the dentist chair was the fruit machine. And it worked like this. This is all true. It worked like this. The subject sat in the chair and watched mostly boring pictures, right? Like a flower, a countryside, the sunset, an antelope, and then they'd be like, a man's bum. And if the pupils of the man sitting in the chair watching the man bum dilated, the scientists knew he was homosexual. They knew this because a study had recently shown that in grocery stores, people's pupils dilated when they looked at food. So if the eyes measured a nutritional reaction, the same must hold if homosexuals lusting after each other. After all, looking at a tomato, looking at a butt, it's the same thing. It's called science. Special Section A3 subbranch of the RCMP Security Panel was psyched. They got the men, they got the chair, they put the men in the chair, and they started showing them butts. Except for there's problems, right? Like they designed the camera measuring the pupils to be right in front of the screen, so the subject couldn't see, till they moved the cameras to the side. But then they needed high-resolution cameras because the ankle was sharper, so the Air Force sent them faster cameras. But even then, they had to develop and magnify every picture of the subject's eyes, and every subject had his picture taken over 100 times, and people had different heights, pupils, distance between the eyeballs, plus light coming off the screen changed picture to picture, so the scientists didn't know if the dilation came from like hot butts, or the darkness or the lightness of the image. So they kept all the images the same level of brightness, except then no one could see anything, so by the end they're showing them outlines of like flowers and sunsets and butts, which all look the same in silhouette. So even if the man's pupils did dilate, they didn't know if he was gay or just really into like spherical objects. That project died, but not the result of Special Section 83 subbranch of the RCMP security panel, who had thus far formed a dossier on 9,000 potential homosexuals, which they used to compile a list of homosexual characteristics. Flagrant gay tendencies like driving a white car, wearing the wrong sort of necktie, a ring on the pinky finger, breaking up with your wife and letting your hair grow, and being promiscuous with women. Because the sign of a gay man is having sex with tons of girls. That project died, as they all did. Still, though homosexuality became legal in Canada in 1969, it remained the policy of the RCMP to not knowingly retain or engage homosexuals as peace officers until 1986. 1986. Thanks a lot. I'm Brendan.